I planted a lot of potatoes this year, so when I got finished harvesting them, I had to figure out how to best use them and store them. But I couldn't get too focused on that because I also had to start planning my fall planting of potatoes as well. I'm going to share all that with you today. Also, I'm going to share an update with you about this channel and future videos, but I'll save that to the end. If you watched this video, then you saw where I compared my harvest of growing potatoes in grow bags and in raised beds. But I had also mentioned that I planted potatoes in several other spaces in my garden, and many of you told me in the comments that you looked forward to that update. So I wanted to give you a brief update of how those harvests went in these different spaces in my garden. And then we'll move on to how I'm storing and using all of these potatoes, because I'm doing a few new things this year that I think you'll find helpful, especially with your potato harvest. Along with my grow bags and the raised bed in the kitchen garden that you saw before, I also planted potatoes in my GreenStalk. Now this isn't new to me. I planted potatoes in my GreenStalk last year, and this video shows all about that. But this year I decided to do something a little bit different. Instead of planting one seed potato per pocket in my GreenStalk, the original, which is a little bit deeper, I decided to do every other pocket. My thought was I could use fewer seed potatoes, but then give those seed potatoes more room to be able to develop roots and grow. So maybe I could have a comparable harvest without using as many seed potatoes. The two varieties that I planted in my GreenStalk were Caribe and Yukon Gold. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe these were from my fall harvest last year that I saved seed from to be able to plant again in the spring. So these weren't fresh new seed potatoes from Wood Prairie Family Farm like most of the other ones were. They were saved from last year. When I harvested, there were a couple of pockets that actually did really well, and I had a lot of expectation for the rest of it, but only one pocket per tier ended up producing really well, and the whole harvest in general wasn't super great. It wasn't as good as I'd had last year, and I'm not quite sure the reasoning behind that. It could be that I was a little bit more lax with the fertilizer. I don't think I remember adding any of the Wood Prairie's fertilizer to the GreenStalk like I did in the other areas of my garden where I saw bigger results. So that could have been it, or it could have been that it was a little bit older seed that I'd saved from last year. I don't know that that would have made a huge difference, but regardless, that harvest wasn't as great as I had expected. The next place that I planted potatoes was in a 3x7 Birdie's metal raised bed in my big garden space. When I planted, I made a quick video showing exactly what I planted and how I used that fertilizer. I did a little bit of a side-by-side test to see if that fertilizer would make a difference. In this clip, I'm going to show you exactly what I planted and where, and then we'll come back and I will share with you what I learned from that harvest. The left side has no fertilizer. The right side has the Wood Prairie fertilizer. The first row here, Yukon Gold, Yukon Gold, Yukon Gold, all that from Wood Prairie. And then Caribe, I think it might be dark red Norland. I think it's Caribe that I saved from last year. The second row, that's Huckleberry Gold. And then these three are Adirondack Blue. That's Huckleberry Gold. And then this whole row is Purple Viking. And this whole row is Red Cloud. When it came time to harvest, I was in peak garden season and I just wanted to get it all harvested. I really didn't focus a whole lot on which variety did better and which side had the fertilizer and which didn't. I didn't even check that video and I didn't realize it when I was harvesting. But now that I'm going back and I'm watching my harvest, I can tell a few things even if I didn't weigh them. What I found is that the side that did get the fertilizer did end up producing more. I was counting how many tubers I was harvesting as I looked at that video, and there were more on the side that had the fertilizer. So to me, that reiterated the point that having that extra fertilizer really did help with the yield of the potatoes. Another thing that I thought was interesting was the farthest side of the bed. I had grown Red Cloud potatoes and they were on the edge of the bed. If you recall from the last video I did, you saw that the potatoes that were planted on the edges of my 3x4 raised bed, those potatoes didn't do as well, and I supposed that the reason was because that soil, which is closer to the edge, heated up quicker in our summer, and the hotter that you get either in the soil or in the air temperature or both, it can inhibit tuber formation. So the conclusion that I drew from the other harvest was that the potatoes that are planted on the edges might not perform as well. Well, in this particular birdie's raised bed, I found that that wasn't necessarily the case. I had grown red cloud on the edge, but I grew it on the north side, which made me think maybe with the north side it didn't get that direct sun and it didn't have that issue with the warm soil. But honestly, in the past when I've done a soil sampling of the temperature in those birdie's raised beds, it really hasn't made a huge difference, but still I kind of had that in the back of my mind. But the red cloud did really, really well. It's always done well in my climate, and with it being on the edge and it still did well, that was something that I thought was really interesting. Because on the south side, I planted Yukon Gold, and that harvest was pretty small. Compared to the other varieties, the Yukon Gold harvest was small. Now, was that because that was on the edge, which is on the south side, gets more sun? Or is it because my Yukon Golds just did not do well this year? Even in the 3x4 raised bed in my kitchen garden, I don't know what it was about the Yukon Gold, but they just didn't do as well. So I still don't know for sure if it was the placement or the variety. Speaking of variety though, the one variety that continued to produce well, which you probably saw in the other video, did really well in my grow bag and in my other raised bed. That variety did fantastic in this bed too, and that was Purple Viking. Absolutely loved this variety. It's an early producer. It was a heavy producer for me, and then once we got it into the kitchen, it was delicious. So that was a home run for sure, was the Purple Viking. One other thing I noticed with that particular harvest was, whereas the Adirondack Blue did really well in this raised bed kitchen garden space, the Huckleberry Gold outperformed the Adirondack Blue in the other raised bed. So I'm not sure what the difference between the two would have been, or if it was just random, but I was really glad to get a great harvest of Huckleberry Gold from that particular bed. The final garden space that I planted potatoes in was a wooden raised bed. For this raised bed, I had extra seed potatoes that either I had saved or they were extra from the shipment from Wood Prairie, and I had a few that I needed a place for, but I also had more garden space than I needed. So I decided to go to my local feed store and buy a particular variety of potato that Wood Prairie didn't sell, and that is Lesota. It's a variety that's always at my feed store, and I really never knew what the difference was, but I started researching it, and Lesota is supposedly really good for warm weather climates. So I bought some of those to mainly fill in the space, and I planted that in my wooden raised bed area. When I started harvesting that area, I was blown away at the harvest from the Lesota. It definitely rivaled the Purple Viking, but I wasn't able to get a true comparison because I didn't label that bed very well. I think part of it was because it was more of an afterthought planting, and I had planted some Caribe in that space too, and the Lesota and the Caribe look so similar on the outside, and because I didn't label them well, I wasn't sure where the Lesota ended and the Caribe began. So I can't quite tell you how much I got out of the Lesota, but I can say I got plenty of harvest, and I was very, very thrilled with that. Now, all of these raised beds, the one in the kitchen garden and the two out in my main garden, they were all irrigated with the Garden in Minutes garden grids. I've absolutely loved these grids in my raised beds, and every crop that I plant there thrives because it gets plenty of water, it gets deep and even water coverage, and it wasn't too much. I never had any issues with too much irrigation. It was absolutely perfect. So whether you're growing potatoes or any other crops in raised beds and you're looking for an irrigation solution, after having used these Garden in Minutes garden grids with my raised beds for going on 2 years now, I can tell you that they are an absolute necessity for me to make sure that I get enough water coverage with my crops, whatever crop I'm planting in those raised beds. If you want to learn more about the Garden in Minutes garden grid, we'll have a link down below, or you can go to journeywithjill.net/gardeninminutes. They did send me my grids to outfit my beds, but I would buy them because they are absolutely a necessity for me, especially now that I put them on a timer. Makes watering and making sure my plants are healthy so much easier. Now, once I harvested all of these potatoes, I ran into the issue that I sometimes have, and that is I'm harvesting them all in June or July, depending on how the season pans out. And I have all these potatoes How do I use them? Do I preserve them? How do I store them? And this is something that I've been trying to kind of figure out and get a good system with over the past several years. One thing that I decided to do this year that I felt like would make it easier when it came to using the potatoes was I made a list of the potatoes and I separated them into their dormancy categories. What that means is that a potato will stay in its state that you want for cooking for a certain period of time based on the variety before it starts to break dormancy and those eyes start to develop. When that starts to happen, they lose their quality for kitchen use, and so you really want to use those up if you can before they break dormancy. But the different varieties have different dormant periods, and I wanted to be able to use the ones that I knew would break dormancy quicker. I wanted to use them first and then save the ones that would break dormancy later, save them to the end. That's why I broke them into short, medium, and long dormancy. That way I could quickly look and see, okay, these are the ones I need to use first. And then also I made a list of what they're best used for in the kitchen, because that's one thing that I've learned is that using the right potato variety for the right use, whether it's potato salad or French fries or mashed potatoes or baked potatoes, it makes a big difference, at least in the quality of the product. So that was another thing that list did for me. For most of my potatoes, I keep them in a very cool closet in the center of my house where it gets a little bit of ventilation, but no light. That's really the closest I'm ever gonna get to a root cellar. So I use them fresh for the most part. But a couple of years ago, I tried canning potatoes for the very first time. And I remember having such a difficult time trying to find out which potatoes were best for canning. Because some potatoes, when you go through the canning process, they don't hold up well with the heat and they can get mushy. I did learn that when I tried to can Yukon Gold. They definitely kind of broke down in the canning process and wasn't the best quality. But some of the other ones did really well. Any of the ones that are described as waxy seem to do better, and I had a few different varieties that I felt like would be good candidates for canning, but I thought, you know, I don't know which ones are the best for canning, so let's just try all four and we'll just compare. So I ended up canning Adirondack Blue, Caribe, Lesota, and Purple Viking just to compare. Some of them I did in quarters, some of them I did diced, kind of like hash browns for maybe a potato salad at some point or fried potatoes. But I canned all of them, and so far all of them actually held up really well through the canning process. So of course I'm going to use the potatoes fresh as I can, but once I run out of those, I'll have many jars of canned potatoes that I could use for the winter, and that's something I'm going to be very grateful that I did. That brings me to planning my fall planting of potatoes, and if you followed along here, you know that is a moving target for me because I really want to have a potato harvest right before winter so I can have potatoes that are in their fresh form through as much of the fall as I can, but that's really difficult to do because potatoes like cool weather, but they don't like freezing weather. So there's this small little window. And last year I felt like I got a lot closer because I planted them in grow bags and then I moved them into the greenhouse when the temperatures started to get too low. But I still wasn't very thrilled with the harvest. So I'm going to try something a little bit different this year. I'm going to plant them in those 15-gallon grow bags. I'm also going to be proactive if I find ants that are eating the stems, which is what happened last year. I'm going to try to keep on top of that this year. But the main challenge with growing fall potatoes is that your local feed store is not going to sell them, at least mine doesn't. And so you have to find seed potatoes in the summer, which sometimes it can be hard to do. But this year, Wood Prairie was still selling their seed potatoes. So I placed an order on their website, but I had to choose which variety that I wanted to plant. You may have guessed it, I decided to plant more Purple Viking. Not only did it produce a lot for the spring and summer, not only was it delicious, but it also has a short dormancy. Why that is important is because once they shipped me the seed potatoes from Wood Prairie, they were already breaking dormancy. So I could plant them in July so that they could hopefully get starting to grow quicker and be able to benefit from the summer long days. That sunlight is a huge thing for potatoes in the fall. So that is my goal this year, is to plant those Purple Viking, plant most of them in the grow bags. The other ones I'm gonna plant, I have a few extra, I'm gonna plant in my GreenStalks, but I'm also planning on putting the GreenStalks in the greenhouse when the weather gets cooler. And I may consider supplementing them with a grow light as well, especially as the days start getting shorter, especially in that October, November time. Hopefully, by doing that, I can get a little bit better of a harvest heading into the winter. But at the very least, I can do kind of what I did last year, and I can grow enough seed potatoes to be able to maybe turn around and plant in the spring. But that's obviously not the goal. I really want more for the kitchen use, but I'm also prepared just in case what happened last year happens this year. But, you know, I just have to keep trying to level up and do a little bit better each year. And fall potatoes is definitely one of those moving targets for me that I just keep trying just a little bit harder. The last thing I wanted to share with you today is that I may not be doing regular Wednesday videos like you're used to here on the YouTube channel for the fall. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a break, a breather, to be able to give you videos whenever I feel like it's necessary, instead of having to feel like I'm on a schedule. That's been a little bit exhausting, to be honest with you. It takes a lot of time and effort to produce every YouTube video, and I enjoy doing it. But also, any video that I share with you, I want it to be something that you will very much find helpful. Now, one thing at this point that it's not going anywhere is I will still be posting my video versions of the Beginner's Garden podcast. That's something we started doing in January. And for now, I'm going to continue doing that. And really, my focus is going to be on the podcast in general, just because I've been doing the podcast since 2017. Podcasting is what I am most passionate about. I listen to podcasts way more than I watch YouTube videos personally. And so I really want to zero in on the podcast and creating great content for the podcast. And then as something comes along that I might want to share with you on video, then I will throw up a video, and you guys who are subscribed, you'll get a notification hopefully, and you'll be able to watch them. But I didn't want you to worry if you don't see any videos for a couple of weeks, or I don't know, I'm kind of leaving it open-ended at this point. But know that I'm not going anywhere. You'll still get those podcast episodes every week, almost every week, moving forward, so that you can keep up. And on the go, you can search for the Beginner's Garden podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and I hope that I will see you there with some great content moving into the fall and obviously into next growing season as well. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the final potato harvest and also how I'm using them in my kitchen. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, or if you have any tips for me, I'm always up for that, especially when it comes to growing potatoes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will chat with you later.